actually a cancer researcher in Germany, and I work with a private research institute, the Dr. Margaret Fisher-Bosch-Institute of Clinical Pharmacology in Stuttgart. And the mission of our institute is to dedicate all our efforts to the improvement of patient well-being, particularly within the context of drug treatment and efficacy, as well as patient outcome. So what do I actually do? Based on my university training as a chemist with a Ph.D. in the field of immunology and postdoctoral experience in molecular cancer research, I focus my career on the search for the molecular origin of cancer and the investigation of the role of the genome within the course of the disease. And this interest has been sparked very long ago when, as a student, I earned my living by working in my spare time at the intensive care unit of our local hospital, which exposed me very early to many different end-of-life situations. And it was there where my scientific interest into the origin of cancer was sparked and the motivation to counteract disease progression developed. When during my professional training, the opportunity came up to join the US National Cancer Institute to perform research in the field of tumor suppressor research, I seized this opportunity and became part of the team that identified the VHL tumor suppressor gene. So germline mutations in this gene predispose to a hereditary multi-organ tumor syndrome. Once I had experienced the success of this research that allowed pre-symptomatic diagnosis of a multimorbid severe disease and to improve its management, I knew that this was the type of research I wanted to be in and to continue my independent research. And that is to find solutions and translate them to the clinic in order to overcome the burdens associated with cancer. So that is what I do and what my motivation is to do. So when I joined cancer research, and that was only when I went to the US, so there was a motto in the laboratory that was in vivo veritas, in vitro mendatium. And that is to say everything starts from the patient and not from the test tube. So my research approach very much starts with the patient. So this is to say whatever research question I address involves the collection of defined patient cohorts, the documentation of their clinical characteristics, and importantly, their follow-up, and of course the collection of the patient's biological such as blood and tumor tissue for the molecular analysis. So today we are working in a very exciting era in which the technical and the computational prospects of multi-omics research seem to provide infinite opportunities. However, it is my experience and my strong belief that meaningful research results can only be obtained from defined research questions, and these arise from the patient's condition and needs. So other than the test tube experiments where only few replica are needed, the patient-based approach requires large numbers of patients that share the same disease characteristics, treatment schemes, outcome, and this is really the biggest challenge in this research. So in line with this approach, my research focuses now on breast cancer, as it is the most frequent cancer in women with a massive contribution to the global prevalent cancer burden. Suffice to say that this disease has severe professional, familial, and societal implications and therefore deserves attention. Clinically and scientifically speaking, breast cancer has been the first cancer for which targeted therapy became available already decades ago. By blocking breast tumor growth via interference of estrogen receptor mediated growth, signaling, this is the good news, that this signaling can be interrupted and most early breast cancers can be controlled. by giving endocrine treatment. However, given that this treatment principle concerns more than 1 million women each year that are newly diagnosed with estrogen receptor positive breast cancer, there is bad news, and this is that 1/3 of them will not benefit. So we do not fully understand today why that is, and therefore my scientific interest concentrates on those hundreds of thousands of patients that need further solutions with regards to possible second-line therapies and alternatives to keep the outgrowth of metastasis in check and to overcome endocrine resistance. This can be done by defining patients in which the given treatment is not effective and by deciphering the tumor's contribution to treatment resistance. And the latter involves the multi-omics investigation of endocrine resistance models. So this is what I do today with all my motivation and what I can do. There is actually a few things that have translated into the clinic and to the patient level. And actually these results provide the everyday motivation for me to continue this work. However, as we move on and everybody knows, we increasingly understand that there is no one big solution to solve cancer problem, but many different multi-layered problems need to be addressed and solved. It is therefore very rewarding to see that we made progress in the understanding of the contribution of our genetic makeup to disease risk and disease manifestation, but also to the way a patient benefits from drug treatment. So my early research helped to establish a genetic test for the diagnosis of VHL disease, which significantly contributed to a structural disease management with the possibility of early interventions, which in many cases can help to prevent blindness, severe neurological impairment, and even renal dialysis. In breast cancer, my recent research contributed to establishing the genetic and drug metabolite tests that can predict the likelihood of the efficacy and outcome of a frequently used drug, which goes by the name tamoxifen. This is particularly important as breast cancer endocrine treatment, and this is the treatment of patients with an estrogen receptor positive tumor, is a long-term treatment. It requires long-term estrogen deprivation, and therefore the patient should know upfront and offered alternative approaches such as an aromatase inhibitor in case of a predicted likelihood of tamoxifen failure. And our research has actually contributed to that, to make that possible. I think cancer affects all families in this world. It is a really heavy burden, and as people get older, it is even more important to control this disease. And even if patients have a disease, they must be taken care of to get the best care in order to maintain a good living condition and also to prevent them from premature death. And as this affects all of us, I think it is very important to continue cancer research. And even today, especially today, with all the new possibilities arising from modern technology, from modern methodology, from international concerted efforts, we learn that we cannot do things alone. We must team up to build efficient networks. With all these possibilities and prospects being at hand, it is only a financial issue to continue. So we have to make all efforts to get this out into the public, that there is a need, that everybody is concerned, as everybody can develop this disease, and we should make all efforts to prevent the disease and to go for a cure, and this requires money and therefore grant support to the researchers.